Hello everyone, once again welcome to our physics class. We have completed our sixth chapter, that is work, power and energy. We also discussed some numericals based on that chapter in our previous sessions. So today I will start a new chapter, that is system of particles and rotational motion. And some portions of this chapter has been deleted as a part of syllabus reduction. So let's start with system of particles first. Afterwards we will discuss about rotational motion. Let's get started with today's session, my dear children. So as discussed in our introductory video, in the previous sessions we have completed our chapter 6, work, power and energy, and today we will start with a new lesson, system of particles and rotational motion. In the earlier chapters, we have discussed the motion of particle. We applied the results of our study to the motion of bodies of finite size. A large class of problems with extended bodies can be solved by considering them to be rigid bodies. So what do you mean by a rigid body? Ideally, a rigid body is a body with a perfectly definite and unchanging shape. The distance between all pairs of the particles in a rigid body do not change. So it is very clear from the definition of the rigid body that no real body is truly rigid, since real bodies deform under the influence of forces. But in many situations, the deformations are negligible. In a number of situations involving bodies such as wheels, tops, steel beams, molecules, and planets, on the other hand, we can ignore that they warp. Warp means twist out of shape, bend or vibrate, and treat them as rigid. So in our universe, we cannot find an ideal rigid body. It's very difficult to find an ideal rigid body. Actually, no body in this universe is perfectly rigid, because all the bodies will deform under the influence of forces. But in many situations, the deformations are considered as negligible. Okay. So, what is rigid body? It's a body with a perfectly definite and unchanging shape. The distances between all pairs of particles of such a body do not change. Here, these are examples of some rigid body. So, here you can see this bridge. Bridge can be taken as a rigid body, as the distance between any two particles does not change, or it is so small that it can be neglected. Now, here if we consider lemon is not a rigid body. Why? Because we can see a significant change in its shape after the application of force. So, lemon is not a rigid body. Basically, a rigid body can have two types of motion. First is the translational or translatory motion, and the second type of motion is rotational motion. In pure translational motion, at any instant of time, all particles of the body have the same velocity. So on the figure, you can see a bullet is fired from the gun. So all particles of this bullet will have the same velocity. Okay, if we consider different particles inside this bullet, all the particles will move with the same velocity as that of the bullet. Okay. Now, in pure rotational motion, if a rigid body is fixed about some axis, then every particle of the body moves in a circle which lies in a plane perpendicular to the axis and has its center on the axis. Okay, so if we consider the motion of a fan, it's a pure rotational motion because fan is rotating about a fixed axis. And every particle on the fan, if you consider the leaf and just consider so many particles are there on the leaves of the fan, and all these particles will execute a circular motion because all the particles on the leaf move in a circle, and this circle lies in a plane perpendicular to the axis, isn't it? See, if we consider the particles P1 here, P2 here, P3, P4. Then if fan is rotating in this direction, then these particles will also rotate like this. That means these particles move in a circle, and this circle moves in a plane or lies in a plane which is perpendicular to the axis. See, this is the axis of the fan, and the particles are rotating about this axis. So this axis is perpendicular to the plane of the circle, and also the center of the circle. So this is the circle and this is the center of the circle. Center of the circle lies on the axis, isn't it? So this is the axis of rotation and center of the circle lies on the axis. So this is the rotational motion exhibited by a rigid body. The motion of a rigid body which is not pivoted or fixed in some way is either a pure translational motion or a combination of translation and rotational motion. The motion of a rigid body which is pivoted or fixed in some way is rotation. Okay, children, so consider a rigid body which is not fixed anywhere. So the motion of such a rigid body can be either a pure translational motion or a combination of translation and rotation. If you consider this rigid body, it can execute a translatory motion, and at the same time it is executing a rotational motion. Okay, a combination of translation and rotation can be seen here. Now, the motion of a rigid body which is fixed in some way is rotation. So if you consider this rigid body is fixed, and its motion will be a rotational motion. And if you consider the case of fan, it is fixed in some way, so it executes a rotational motion. Okay. Next, we can discuss the most important concept of this chapter, that is center of mass. Okay, so what do you mean by center of mass? Center of mass is an imaginary point where the whole mass of system can be assumed to be concentrated. Okay, so if you consider a rigid body, that rigid body has a point where the whole mass is assumed to be concentrated. If we consider two bodies, the center of mass of two bodies which lies in a straight line. Okay, so you can consider here the two bodies. This is the first body having mass m1. This is the second body having mass m2. The center of mass of these two bodies, this is a system. Okay, it is a two body system. So the center of mass of this system lies here, which is denoted by C. And this C represents the center of mass. It lies along a straight line, isn't it? And this M1 is situated at a distance of x1 from the origin O. M2 is situated at a distance of x2 from the origin O. So what will be the center of mass of that system? Center of mass of that system will be, that means x coordinate. The center of mass is situated at a distance of capital X from the origin. Can you see this capital X? And this M1 is situated at a distance of x1. M2 is situated at a distance of x2 from the origin. Center of mass is situated at a distance of capital X from the origin. then what will be the x coordinate of the center of mass? So the center of mass of this system can be obtained using this expression, that is m1 x1 plus m2 x2 by m1 plus m2. So what is m1? m1 is mass of the first body, and what is x1? It is the distance of m1 from the origin. So m1 x1, mass into distance from the origin, plus m2 into x2. m2 into x2 is mass of the particle into distance of that particle from the origin, divided by m1 plus m2, that is total mass of the particles present in the system. So this is the x coordinate of the center of mass. Similarly, we can write y coordinate and z coordinate of center of mass. So how will you write it? See, the y coordinate of center of mass can be written like this, m1 y1, because if we consider about the y coordinate, then we should consider the distance of the particle lying along the y direction from the origin, and it will be y1 plus m2 y2. We will consider the y coordinate by m1 plus m2. This is the y coordinate of center of mass. Similarly, what is the z coordinate? Z coordinate of center of mass can be written as m1 z1 plus m2 z2 by m1 plus m2. This is the z coordinate of center of mass. So x, y and z coordinate of center of mass can be obtained using this equation. So generally, how can we write the x, y and z coordinate of center of mass? Using the position vector r. So we can write generally any position vector can be written like this. Vector r is equal to m1 r1 plus m2 r2. This will be vectors by m1 plus m2, and this m1 plus m2 is the total mass of the system. So m1 plus m2 can be replaced by capital M. So we can write capital R is equal to, R vector is equal to m1 r1 plus m2 r2 all divided by capital M. So this is the equation to find out the position coordinate of center of mass. So for x coordinate, this r will be x, r1 r2 will be x1 x2. For y coordinate, r will be y and r1 r2 will be y1 and y2, and so on. So x, y and z coordinates of center of mass of a two particle system can be written like this and can be found using this expression. So how will you find out the position vector of center of mass for an n particle system? Here we have considered only a two particle system, and it is not necessary always a rigid body has only two particles, or always we will deal with a two particle system. There can be infinite number of particles. So in such a case, how can we find out the center of mass of such a n particle system? So for n particle system, we can write the position coordinate r is equal to m1 r1 plus m2 r2 plus etc. plus mn rn all divided by m1 plus m2 plus etc. plus mn. Okay, so this is the general expression to find out the position vector of n particle system, okay, for a center of mass. And we can simplify this expression like this. We can write vector r is equal to sigma I is equal to 1 to n mi ri. Okay, so if you put I is equal to 1, you will get m1 r1. If you put I equal to 2, you will get m2 r2. And this value of I extends from 1 to n. So if you put I is equal to n, you will get mn rn. Since sigma is here, Sigma indicates summation. So that means you must add all these values. Okay. And also divided by capital M. Capital M means total mass or sum of masses of all particles of that system. So that is capital M. So all divided by capital M. So this is the general expression to find out center of mass of any particle system. Okay. So once again, the coordinates of center of mass of a body, that is x, y, z, is given like this. So m1 x1 plus m2 x2 plus etc. plus m1 xn is simplified using this expression sigma mi xi. Here also y is simplified sigma my yi, and z is simplified by the expression sigma mi zi. Okay. Now this is a discrete system. We can identify or we can distinguish between different particles of this system. We can distinguish between two particles and we can distinguish between the mass of those two particles like that. But if the body is continuous distribution of mass, continuous distribution means we are not able to distinguish between different particles. All the particles are overlapped. They are continuously distributed. So in such a case, how can we find out the position vector, or how can you find out the center of mass of such a particle system if the body is continuous distribution of mass? That means we are not able to distinguish between different particles in that body. So in such a case, the position vector r can be found out using this expression. Position vector r is equal to 1 by capital M integral of r dm, where capital M is the total mass of that system and r is the position vector and dm is the small element of mass, because for a continuous distribution we will divide the body into small number of elements and we will divide the body into number of small elements, and mass of each small element is taken as dm. Okay, so for a continuous distribution the center of mass is calculated using this expression. Vector r is equal to 1 by m into integral r dm. Now there are different particles, different shapes and size. And what will be the position of center of mass for such shapes? If we consider a thin circular ring like this, see, this is a thin circular ring, and where will be the center of mass of the system? Center of mass of the system will be at the center. And if we consider a circular disc of radius r, so for a circular disc of radius r also, center of mass will be situated at the center. For a thin rod of length L, if we consider a rod like this which has a length L, center of mass of such a system will be situated at half of its length. That means at the midpoint of that thin rod. And if we consider a solid sphere of radius r like this, center of mass of the solid sphere will be situated at the center of that sphere. So different shapes are available here, and for different shapes, where will be the position of that center of mass? That you must remember. Okay. Next we will discuss about motion of center of mass. COM means center of mass. Okay. So that means we are discussing the motion of a center of mass. That is, we are supposed to obtain an expression for the velocity of center of mass. Also, we are supposed to find out an expression for acceleration of the center of mass, and also the force acting on the center of mass. So the center of mass of a system of particles moves as if all the mass of the system was concentrated at the center of mass and all the external forces were applied at that point. So the center of mass will move as if all the mass of the system is concentrated at the center of mass and all the external forces were applied at that point where the center of mass is concentrated. Now we know that for a center of mass system, R is equal to, we can just bring a modification. We know that R is equal to sigma mi Ri, that is equal to m1 r1 plus m2 r2 plus mn rn, and also here we will write divided by capital M, divided by capital M, isn't it? So differentiate this expression with respect to time. So first we can differentiate the LHS part. So LHS part of the equation is R. So R is equal to, when you differentiate R with respect to time, we will get dr by dt, because d by dt is the differential operator. So when you apply this differential operator on R, you will get dr by dt equal to, we can't apply differentiation to constants. So mass of the particle will be a constant. So take the constant m1 outside the differential operator and just differentiate r1. So dr1 by dt plus m2 into dr2 by dt plus mn into drn by dt. So also divided by capital M. Capital M is here. Now here we know that dr by dt, this term on the LHS, dr by dt, it is nothing but our velocity. So dr by dt will be equal to velocity v, that is velocity of the center of mass, capital V, and dr1 by dt, dr1 by dt is velocity of the particle with mass m1. So dr1 by dt will be small v1, which is the velocity of the particle of mass m1, and similarly dr2 by dt is the expression for v2, that means velocity of the particle with mass m2. Okay, like that. So drn by dt will be vn, velocity of the nth particle with mass mn. Okay, and so the velocity of the center of mass will be m1 v1 plus m2 v2 plus etc plus mn v1 by capital M. Capital M is there. They have taken this capital M to the LHS part. So that's why on the LHS part they have written mm like that. But we have studied the expression of R like this, so let it be like this itself. So the velocity of the center of mass is equal to m1 v1 plus m2 v2 plus etc plus mn vn all divided by m. So this is the velocity of the center of mass. And similarly, we can write an expression for acceleration of the center of mass. See, we know that velocity of the center of mass is equal to m1 v1 plus m2 v2 plus etc plus m1 mn vn all divided by m, isn't it? Now differentiate with respect to time. Differentiate this expression again with respect to time. So on the LHS part you will get dv by dt, and on RHS part you will get m1 into dv1 by dt. Again we can't differentiate mass, so take it outside, plus m2 into dv2 by v2 by dt plus etc plus m1 into dvn by dt all divided by capital M equal to, here on the LHS part dv by dt. So whenever you differentiate velocity with respect to time, you will get acceleration A. So this is acceleration A. dv by dt is the expression for instantaneous acceleration. I hope you remember this expression. We had already discussed about all these things in our previous chapters. So dv by dt is acceleration, that is equal to m1 into dv1 by dt is acceleration of first particle. So let it be a1 plus m2 into dv2 by dt is the acceleration of the second particle. So let it be a2 plus etc. plus mn into dvn by dt is acceleration of the nth particle, all divided by capital M. So this is the expression for the acceleration of the particle or acceleration of the center of mass. m1 a1 plus m2 a2 plus etc. plus mn an, all divided by capital M. Okay, so this is about the velocity and acceleration of the center of mass.